Greetings one and all, this is Rhythmworks and welcome to my channel with the long awaited beta to Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. As you know, it is a solo stroke 4-player co-op game which has the sensibilities and the look and feel of past Far Cry iterations basically, and it's a game I don't think I'll be getting. I don't think I'll be getting it for simple reasons. As much as I like the Far Cry series, I do like the way how Far Cry is constructed with a good story and some real trippy moments within the story. And with Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4, those were basically in place. I still rate Far Cry 3 over Far Cry 4, but they were very similar and the level of storytelling was somewhat maintained, but the things that make it quintessentially Far Cry was evident and present to see. Whereas with this, you have the option to play in solo mode, but you don't buy a 4-player co-op mode open world game to basically play by yourself, you know, and it is a friendly game. That being said, it is a game that you can actually play by yourself if you choose to. When you get killed and you're in a gunfight, you basically only have one chance for your buddies to rescue you in a single gunfight. So that means if you get shot down twice, you're dead. You get shot down once, you get revived. You know, so in a solo 1-player situation, that can be limiting, but with 3 of your mates, you know, it can be a very enjoyable romp ride, as it were. Now, Wildlands is definitely menu heavy in terms of skill tree progression, in terms of upgrade and customization and all of that stuff. And it's a big game in terms of size and scope. It definitely is big. But the one problem I seem to have with the game is just the mechanics, you know, and sometimes certain things can be overlooked and overridden, you know, with other things. Like graphics can be overlooked for gameplay and mechanics can be overlooked for gameplay, I guess, for some people. But I just like to have the feeling of having a gun in my hand when I do have one in my hand. When I use the guns that are featured here in the beta, I know they are low-level guns, so to speak, but even the low-level guns are supposed to have some kind of bite to them. These guns simply just does not. The sniper rifle, I have to say, has got a little bit of a kick, but it still feels like a paintball gun when I aim and shoot. At first I thought there was limitations with the camera when you're in the vehicle and what have you, but they can be adjusted in the options menu. Having said that, I think the vehicles underperform. You know, I think with the motorcycles, they are supposed to be fast, but they take a while to catch up with certain cars on the map. The choppers, the helicopters, I find a bit cumbersome to operate, but that's just me, you know what I mean? It is obvious that it's going to be compared to Grand Theft Auto in terms of it being an open world shooter, but I have to state that in comparison with other games that are on the same kind of par in terms of open world shooters like Grand Theft Auto 5 and Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, those 2 games that I've just mentioned, the mechanics in terms of the guns and the weaponry are far superior than the weaponry featured here. But that's not to mean, or that's not to say rather, that you still can't have a blast with this game. I must state that people who play The Division, they're gonna have a lot of fun with this game. Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. You know, it reminds me of The Division, but it's where The Division needed to have been, I guess. And, you know, fair to say with Ubisoft, they were basically, you know, creating 2 completely different games with more or less the same mechanics in each of them. I suppose from my perspective, if they had released this before The Division, I might have had a newfound respect for both games. But them releasing the Division first kind of waned me in terms of shooters from Ubisoft of this ilk. But I was willing to give it a go simply because of Far Cry 3's introduction to first-person shooters for me personally, and me loving the genre ever since. So that is why I decided to give Wildlands a chance. But I must say, it's not doing much for me. I've played 2 sessions, one of an hour, which was in the morning, and another one of at least a couple of hours in the late afternoon. And you know, it just doesn't feel fluid when you jump into a helicopter and you're flying over from one place to another. It doesn't feel fluid when you're jumping in a car. It just, you know, even though the cars look different, it feels like you're driving a Volvo all the time, a boxy car. But that's not to say that, you know, the game is not good. I'm not hating on the game whatsoever, but in terms of open world shooters, I can gladly pick up the Phantom Pain and also Grand Theft Auto 5 and just get into the groove. It'd be like getting back on a bike with those 2 games. But with this game, I don't know, man. Maybe a good time will be had if you had your mates on with this, which leads me on to another thing. It definitely opens up if you have 3 of your mates playing, but I can see what's going to happen if you're playing by yourself and you jump into public co-op matches. You're going to have people that, you know, they will either wait for you and group up and do what's needed to be done, or you're just going to have fucking tryhards that will just try and do everything one time and just leave you where you're standing. It's just the dice you roll, basically, you know what I mean? So that's what you're going to get within co-op, I'm afraid. I remember when co-op games were running real hard, and when you joined a co-op game, it's like you knew what was involved in a co-op game and you played like a co-op. And then at the end and with the scoreboard, yeah, you know, the kills, the amount you earn, the unlocks you get are somewhat kind of equal. The variations wouldn't be that great, but because of the cooperation within the mode of co-op, it's pretty much balanced. But nowadays, people basically have a PvP mindset when they go into co-op games. That's my experience, you know, randoms and otherwise. But it's just how it is now with a mode. You know, co-op modes are just not strictly limited or exclusive to people that just play co-op games. You know what I mean? So that's all there is to that. But I have to say that, you know, as a game, it's big. It's a big game. Who knows if it goes down in price? Who knows? I might have a little bit of interest towards that. But I'm getting very picky as to what games I choose to play, I choose to buy nowadays. You know, with my preceding video in relation to outgrowing the hype, I can't just buy a game because everybody else is basically buying it. That's just not the way how my wallet works. You know what I'm saying? But I must state from the get-go that it's an interesting looking game. The graphics really look good. It's a good looking game, you know, in comparison to the Division, you know, which looked post-apocalyptic as it were in its own way in New York, but you know, with the obvious comparison between this and Far Cry 4, let's say, or even Far Cry 3, this looks a lot cleaner. But it might be because of the fact that I've got a Pro and a 4K TV. It might have a downgraded vibe if you're looking at it through another TV. You know, I'm not being elitist when I say that. It's just maybe that's what it might be if you don't see the same thing as I do. But I would hazard a guess and say that if there are any hardcore, ardent The Division players, they're gonna love this. Absolutely, they are going to love this game. You know, if not, I want to know the reason why. But from my perspective personally, I'm not really feeling it. I rather wait for the surefire games. Speaking of open world and speaking of Grand Theft Auto and coming back to Rockstar, you know, Red Dead Redemption 2, that's what I'm waiting on as the next open world game. Sorry, but that's what I'm waiting on. You know, had a blast with Undead Nightmare, had a blast with the vanilla game as well, and one can only imagine what Rockstar is going to do with Red Dead Redemption as a game from the ground up, specifically designed for the PlayStation 4 stroke Pro. It's going to be amazing to discover, you know, and Rockstar is a brand that you can trust 98% of the time, I have to say. They might get shit wrong from day one, but boy, do they make it up with free DLC and, you know, updates and what have you. You know, you got to give them props for that. So it's a pass for me for now. You know, I'd rather wait for Last of Us 2, Uncharted Lost Legacy, and Red Dead Redemption 2. I'd rather wait. But there's other games coming in between, so who knows at this point. And next up, I want to mention the PlayStation Beta 450.2 that has just now gone live, and what an update it is. I'm just going to say this. First and foremost, it now features the option for you to customize your own themes. Yes, that is back. You know, a highly used feature in PlayStation 3. I don't understand how it wasn't utilized for PlayStation 4 from the very beginning. It was just weird not to see an option like that, as simple as it was for PlayStation 3, be implemented in PlayStation 4 from launch. It boggles my mind. And what else? Oh yeah, there's external drive support where you can actually I think you can launch your applications from an external drive now, and it has a limit up to a whopping 8 terabyte drive. You know what I mean? So if you have an 8 terabyte drive, you can hook that up to the PlayStation 4 and that's it. You're nice. You're golden, mate. You're golden. And also another thing that I'm pretty much excited about, and yes, I'm saying excited, is the fact that it now has Blu-ray 3D support for PSVR. It's funny because I was having a conversation with, well, not so much a conversation, I left a comment with a channel called the JTL, which kind of he had the same opinion as me in relation to the Platinum headsets. But he was also talking about why he actually sold his PSVR, and him hoping that Sony would basically, you know, bring some support to it. And it was literally yesterday he posted up the video, and I put up a comment basically stating, you know, who I was and what the PSVR means to me in terms of it being an addition to my gaming setup, and me being hopeful that, you know, the experience will expand as the life of the PSVR continues. And if Sony doesn't support it, I'll be in the hope that Sony will make a PSVR 2, you know what I mean, for the reason of no support being continued for the device. And look what happened today, you know. So it's very encouraging, I have to say. It is encouraging to see that that PlayStation are continuing to, you know, expand the experience. And also another feature, they've kind of brought different features and kind of condensed them into one feature, but another feature that is prominent now within the XMB bar, within the menu, you can actually post up a message and add a screenshot from your homepage. You can do that now as well. So that is a great improvement to the console. But my only worry is that it's going to be spammed the fuck out of, you know what I mean? It's going to give people the opportunity to spam the living shit out of it. But it also gives you the option to just upload it so your friends can see it, anyone can see it, friends of friends can see it, etc, etc, etc. So that is basically that's the workings of that. But anyway, that's more or less it for now. So thank you for watching, thank you for stopping by, thank you for passing through, and as always, you done know the coup. Whatever the game, media, platform, format, genre, happy gaming, because that's what it's truly about, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters. And until I catch you on the next one, Enjoy the beta if you have it. Tell me what you think of it after playing it. Is it going to be a must buy? Is it going to be on the fence? Is it going to be a no way Jose game for you? Please let me know in the comment section below. And until I catch you on the next one, please gamers, stay blessed. Magan.